Hi, I'm Bruce Pattinson from Total Education Centre, and today we're here to talk about a curious incident of the dog in the night time. And of course, we're here to talk about the main character of that, Christopher Boone. And I'm going to begin by reading a short quote from the book that pretty much clarifies Christopher's attitude to life and what he does. My name is Christopher John Francis Boone. I know all the countries of the world and their capital cities and every prime number up to 7,057. 8 years ago, when I first met Siobhan, she showed me this picture and I knew what it meant. Sad, which is what I felt when I found the dead dog. And that pretty much goes through and explains what happens in the book. The book is really about Christopher, and it's Christopher's story told by him and about him. He begins by looking at the death of Mrs. Shear's poodle and then uncovers much more that changes his life. His whole life is really affected pretty much by the condition that he has. Now, I don't want to focus too much on that because I talked about that in the context video, but really what we've got is a character who's in many ways in the text defined by what he was. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time is considered a bit of a modern classic because of the characterization of Christopher Boone and the work the author does in developing him as a character in an intriguing way, because he's not like any other character we sort of ever experienced before when we read about him. And Christopher has immense trouble understanding non-verbal cues and doesn't like being touched himself. And this affects greatly his interactions with other people. He's oblivious to people showing emotion around him, especially anger. As well, he takes things literally, which provides elements of humour. And we see this on many occasions through the book when someone will say something to him and Christopher takes it absolutely literally and doesn't understand any nuance of language at all. As well, he cannot understand metaphors and characters them as lies in accordance with his needs to impose order and structure on the world. Christopher has no friends, but it doesn't worry him. In fact, he thinks the other kids at his school are stupid. And we can quote there that he says at one point, "All the other children at my school are stupid, except I'm not meant to call them stupid, even though this is what they are. I'm meant to say that they have learning difficulties or that they have special needs. But this is stupid because everybody has learning difficulties," and it goes on from there. So that's the way he interacts with the world, and we see that interaction in a really, really unusual and unique ways. Christopher himself doesn't understand emotion, he's unable to express it himself, and he certainly cannot perceive or identify it, as I said, in other people. He shows no sadness when his father tells him of his mother's death, only scientific curiosity as to the cause of it. When he then discovers through letters hidden in his father's room that his mother is alive, he has no desire to visit her. His trip to London to live with her is a matter of circumstance. Christopher's lack of emotion frustrates both of his parents, but his mother more so. And in fact, it drives her out of the home and she leaves them both. They are united at the end of the novel, as we shall see. But Christopher's behaviour at home is very complex. His food can't touch, he needs certain colours, he needs patterns, he needs order at all times, and he can't be touched. So it's very difficult. He is very difficult to live with, very frustrating to live with, despite the fact that everybody knows it's not his fault as such. He's not doing it deliberately. Christopher eventually fights to restore order in his life throughout his ordeal on the trains. And we see that the drama and the experience in that and the way he responds to those situations. His journey to London, embarked upon out of self-preservation more or less, just to throw some understanding and meaning into the world for him, is a catalyst for changing the lives of the people around him, but more significantly his own. His trip forced him to push himself beyond his usual boundaries, and because he was brave in inverted commas, he feels positive about the future despite his limitations. Christopher's future at the end of the novel, despite all these things, seems to be relatively positive. We see throughout the text that he's intelligent and his hobbies and interests are maths, physics and space. He does eventually get to sit for his A-level maths at 15, 3 years younger than normal. Together with the complex maths puzzles he does mentally, forces a re-evaluation, and even to the point of his astronaut ambitions being believable. Christopher has high hopes for himself and high aims for himself, despite his inability to connect with people. He certainly can achieve academically, and he's seen to be mathematically brilliant. He gets an A in his exam and the chances of him going to university become very real. So it all works out reasonably positively for this character in the end, but we need to go back and think about the catalyst for all the change. It is the death of the dog, and his sort of detective work in finding out things is the way he lives his life, and it's sort of a metaphor for the way he lives his life. For Christopher, the world is black and white. There is no grey. He sees things in a particular way at a particular time. It is all about fact and logic, and this is the way he responds to everything in the world. Well, that's a very quick and brief rundown of Christopher Boone. I think it gives you a general idea about his character. It gives you some places to start, a couple of quotes to put in your essay, and I think it gives you a little bit of help along the way. In other videos in the Curious Incident series, we'll look at the other characters and some of the themes in the text to help you along. But for now, it's goodbye from me. Good luck with your studies and enjoy the book.